Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our history series. Today, we are diving into the life of perhaps the most misunderstood woman in human history, Cleopatra VII. For centuries, Hollywood and literature have painted her as a tragic lover or a dangerous seductress. But behind the myth lies a woman of incredible intellect, a polyglot who spoke 9 languages, and a political mastermind who nearly unified the ancient world. In this 30-minute deep dive, we will explore her rise to power, her strategic alliances with Rome's greatest generals, and her defiant final breath. Sit back, relax, and let's travel 2,000 years back in time to the golden sands of Alexandria. Chapter 1: A Dynasty of Blood and Greek Fire. To understand Cleopatra, we must first understand her family, the Ptolemies. Although she ruled Egypt, Cleopatra wasn't actually Egyptian by blood. She was Greek. Her ancestor, Ptolemy I, was a general under Alexander the Great. When Alexander died, Ptolemy took Egypt for himself. Growing up in the royal palace of Alexandria, life was a constant game of survival. The Ptolemaic dynasty was famous for its internal violence, brothers killing sisters and daughters overthrowing fathers. But Cleopatra was different. While her siblings plotted, she studied. She was the only member of her family who bothered to learn the native Egyptian language, earning the respect of her subjects. She studied mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy at the Great Library of Alexandria. By the age of 18, when her father died, she was ready to lead. But there was one problem. Egyptian law required a female ruler to have a male co-regent. She was forced to marry her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII. It was a recipe for civil war. Chapter 2: The Carpet and the Conqueror. By 48 BCE, Cleopatra had been kicked out of the palace by her brother's advisors and was living in the desert, gathering an army. At the same time, the Roman general Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria. Cleopatra knew that if she could win Caesar's support, she could win back Egypt. But how could she get past her brother's guards? This is where history becomes a movie. Legend says she had herself rolled up inside a laundry bag or a decorative carpet and smuggled into Caesar's private quarters. When the carpet unrolled, there stood a 21-year-old queen, glowing in the candlelight. Caesar was captivated, not just by her beauty, but by her boldness and her wit. With Roman legions at her back, Cleopatra defeated her brother in the Battle of the Nile. She was back on the throne. Shortly after, she gave birth to a son, Caesarion, the little Caesar. She wasn't just a queen anymore. She was the mother of the heir to both Egypt and Rome. Chapter 3: The Ides of March and a New Alliance. Cleopatra followed Caesar to Rome, living in a villa across the Tiber River. She was the talk of the city, introducing Egyptian fashions and golden luxuries. However, the Romans hated her. They feared her influence over Caesar. On March 15, 44 BCE, the infamous Ides of March, Caesar was assassinated. Cleopatra's world collapsed. She fled back to Alexandria, knowing that without a Roman protector, Egypt was vulnerable. But Rome was now divided between 2 men, Caesar's heir, Octavian, and his best general, Mark Antony.
Cleopatra chose Antony. She invited him to Tarsus, arriving on a magnificent barge with purple sails and silver oars. The air was thick with the scent of expensive incense. Antony, a man of action and passion, was instantly smitten. For the next decade, they lived a life of legendary luxury in Alexandria, forming a political and romantic super couple that threatened the very foundations of Rome. Chapter 4: The Battle of Actium and the Fall. The romance between Antony and Cleopatra gave Octavian the perfect excuse for war. He told the Roman people that Antony had been brainwashed by an Eastern witch. In 31 BCE, the two sides met at the Battle of Actium. It was a disaster. Under intense pressure, Cleopatra's fleet retreated, and Antony followed her, leaving his army to be crushed. They fled back to Alexandria as Octavian's forces closed in. The dream of a Greco-Egyptian empire was dying. In the final days, Antony received a false report that Cleopatra had died. In his grief, he fell on his sword. He was carried to the monument where Cleopatra was hiding and died in her arms. The queen was now alone. Octavian arrived, intending to take her to Rome as a prisoner, to be paraded in chains through the streets where she once walked as a guest. Chapter 5: The Last Pharaoh's Legacy. Cleopatra was a woman of pride. She refused to be a Roman trophy. On a hot August day in 30 BCE, she dressed in her finest royal robes, held her scepter, and sat on her golden throne. According to the most famous account, she allowed a venomous cobra, the symbol of Egyptian divine royalty, to bite her arm. When Octavian's soldiers broke into the room, she was already gone. With her death, the 3,000-year-old history of the pharaohs ended. Egypt became a mere province of Rome. Cleopatra's story teaches us about the power of education, the danger of ambition, and the complexity of leadership. She wasn't just a character in a love story. She was a ruler who fought to keep her country independent against the greatest empire on earth. Thank you for listening to this journey through ancient history. If you enjoyed this long-form practice, please check the description for the full transcript to help with your reading and vocabulary. Follow Hani English Stories for more videos. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.